The Daily Signal, July 31st, 2025. Good morning. Breaking overnight, Canada just announced it will formally recognize Palestine as a state in September. But there's a massive catch that could change everything in the Middle East. I'm Remo, and this is the Daily Signal for July 31st, 2025. Stay tuned for the rest of the stories.
Unfiltered. Now,
Here are the other top stories for July 31st, 2025. Arab nations deliver unprecedented ultimatum. Hamas must disarm and surrender power completely. Britain threatens Palestine recognition unless Israel changes Gaza strategy immediately. Gaza hunger crisis hits absolute worst-case scenario as aid fails to reach millions. 37 killed, 270 wounded in northern Gaza while desperately seeking food aid. Thailand and Cambodia exchange border accusations but avoid full military conflict. Australia's first homemade rocket explodes after just 14 seconds of flight. Israel's closest allies now turning against it as diplomatic isolation deepens rapidly. Germany discovers shocking €170 billion budget hole despite massive borrowing spree. United States and India launch revolutionary Earth observation mission that could transform climate science. Now let's dive into each story. Here's what happened overnight that nobody saw coming. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney didn't just announce Palestine recognition, he attached conditions that could completely reshape Middle East politics. Canada will formally recognize Palestine at the UN in September, but, and this is the game changer, only if the Palestinian Authority agrees to exclude Hamas from all future elections, completely demilitarizes, and holds democratic elections in 2026. The key detail everyone's missing? Canada is demanding Hamas immediately release all October 7th hostages and surrender power entirely. This isn't just diplomacy, it's political warfare. Why this matters to you? Canada just gave Palestinian moderates ammunition against Hamas while putting Israel's hardliners in an impossible position. If Palestine agrees to these terms, Israel loses its security argument. If Palestine refuses, they lose international recognition. Canada's also pledging $340 million in aid, making this the most expensive diplomatic gamble in Canadian history. Meanwhile, Arab states just delivered Hamas the diplomatic equivalent of a knockout punch. In an absolutely unprecedented move, multiple Arab nations, we're talking traditional Hamas supporters, are demanding the group completely disarm and abandon all political power in Gaza. This isn't random timing. Arab states are coordinating with Canada's recognition strategy, essentially telling Hamas, surrender power or become completely isolated in the Arab world. Here's the shocking part. This includes countries that historically funded Hamas operations. The group is losing its regional backing faster than anyone predicted. Why you need to know this? When Hamas loses Arab state support, the entire Gaza conflict dynamic changes overnight. No outside funding means no weapons, no political cover, and no safe havens. Britain just joined the diplomatic pressure campaign, but with a twist that puts Israel in an impossible corner. The UK government announced it will recognize Palestine unless Israel makes significant changes to its Gaza military strategy within weeks, not months. But here's what they're really saying. Britain wants to see concrete steps toward Palestinian civilian protection and immediate humanitarian corridor establishment. The EPA pollution story is connected. It's about America potentially relaxing environmental standards while allies tighten pressure on other fronts. This suggests coordinated Western strategy shifts across multiple policy areas. Why this impacts you? Britain recognizing Palestine would trigger automatic EU discussions about recognition, potentially isolating Israel from its strongest Western allies within months. The numbers are staggering and getting worse daily. Gaza's hunger situation has officially reached what aid organizations call worst-case scenario status. Here's what that actually means. Malnutrition rates have surpassed famine indicators in multiple districts, with children showing severe developmental impacts from prolonged starvation. Aid delivery has become nearly impossible due to security conditions, meaning even existing food supplies can't reach desperate families. Remember this detail. International food aid is sitting in warehouses just miles from starving families, but distribution routes remain too dangerous for humanitarian workers. Why this matters: hunger crises create political instability that outlasts military conflicts. Even if fighting stops tomorrow, Gaza's recovery timeline just extended by years. Tragedy struck northern Gaza when 37 civilians were killed and 270 injured while attempting to access humanitarian aid. This wasn't combat. These were families desperately seeking food and medical supplies when violence erupted during distribution. The casualty numbers tell the real story. Even basic survival activities have become life-threatening for Gaza's civilian population. Hospital sources confirm most injuries were severe, straining already overwhelmed medical facilities. Why you should care: when seeking aid becomes deadly, civilian populations face impossible survival choices that create lasting trauma and political radicalization. Quick update on Southeast Asia. Thailand and Cambodia are trading serious accusations along their disputed border, but diplomatic efforts are preventing military escalation. Both nations claim territorial violations, but neither wants full conflict that would devastate regional trade relationships. The fragile truce holds because economic interests outweigh territorial disputes, at least for now. Australia's space ambitions hit a major setback when their first domestically produced rocket crashed just 14 seconds after launch. This represents years of development and millions in investment gone in seconds. Technical investigations are underway, but the failure highlights how difficult independent space technology remains. Australia was hoping to join the exclusive club of space-capable nations, but this setback could delay those plans significantly. Analysis shows Israel facing unprecedented pressure from traditional allies, with diplomatic options narrowing rapidly. As Palestine recognition grows and humanitarian criticism intensifies, Israel's leadership is running out of victory scenarios that maintain international relationships. The political calculation is becoming impossible. Military success in Gaza increasingly means diplomatic disaster globally. Germany discovered a shocking €170 billion budget gap despite massive government borrowing, creating serious fiscal crisis potential. This threatens Germany's ability to fund EU commitments and domestic priorities simultaneously, potentially forcing difficult austerity choices. European economic stability could be affected if Germany reduces international spending or raises taxes significantly. Now here's how these stories connect and why today's developments matter for your future. We're witnessing coordinated Western diplomatic pressure on Israel unlike anything in modern history. Canada, Britain, and allies are essentially forcing a choice: accept Palestinian statehood with security guarantees or face complete diplomatic isolation. Hamas is losing support from every direction. Arab states, Western nations, and even traditional backers are demanding they surrender power completely. The economic stories, Germany's budget crisis and Australia's space setback, show even wealthy nations struggling with massive spending commitments while trying to maintain technological advancement. This means global political realignment is accelerating. Traditional alliances are shifting based on immediate humanitarian crises rather than historical relationships. For you, this translates to potential changes in international trade, security arrangements, and diplomatic relationships that could affect everything from travel to economic stability over the coming months. The key theme: diplomatic solutions are being forced through economic pressure and alliance threats, not military action. This represents a fundamental shift in how international conflicts get resolved. That's your daily signal for July 31st, 2025. Subscribe for tomorrow's breaking developments, and remember, these stories are developing rapidly, so stay informed. I'm Remo, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Unfiltered.